Let me first talk about the basics of a 1031 exchange, which I'm saying today is difficult, okay? A 1031 exchange involves, sorry for somebody's calling me in on my phone, involves the trading or exchanging by the taxpayer who owns the Fremont property of the Fremont property, which is the relinquished property, which he's held for investment purposes, into a replacement property, hopefully of equal or greater value. The IRS constraints on this is that from the date that our taxpayer closes his sale or trade of the Fremont property, he only has 45 days to designate one or more properties that he would like to move the money from that trade into, and he must acquire the property within 180 days of the date that he sold the Fremont property. What are the basic benefits of the 1031 exchange? I think many of you, probably most of you, know what they are. The biggest benefit is you're able to roll over or defer your capital gain from the, quote, sale of your relinquished property by trading it into a newly acquired like-kind replacement property. Ideally, you're going to find a property that's more valuable and has a greater potential for appreciation than the property that you're trading. And that's what you'll trade into. But as I said 3 minutes ago, they're becoming more difficult to find. What does like-kind mean? Like-kind simply means that it's real property held by our taxpayer for business or investment purposes. Examples of this, in a 1031 exchange, you can trade a motel into a restaurant, an office building into apartments, or an office building into vacant land, as long as the property that you're trading into is held for business or investment purposes. The one restriction is you have to trade into U.S. real property, one of the 50 United States. You can't find something in Paris, France, if you want. And you also can't do your own personal residence or vacation home in a 1031 exchange. We have found at Carr McClellan, and I think everyone has found for a long time, that the primary issue or disadvantage of a 1031 exchange is that you cannot find suitable replacement property, clearly in California, that can give you a decent investment return. Over the past 5 to 7 years, Logie Anderson and I have done many exchanges where our clients that are Bay Area based have exchanged into out-of-state replacement properties, some with success, some with not only once, only one had a disastrous result. But the problem is, if you exchange your San Francisco real estate for a nice little shopping center in Salt Lake City, Utah, you're not there to watch the property. You may not hire a good manager. It's just difficult to own property that's 1,500 or 2,500 miles removed from you. That's a disadvantage. Another disadvantage are the strict time requirements that the IRS under Section 1031 imposes on the transaction. As I said, from the date that you close escrow on your relinquished Fremont property, you only have 45 days to designate up to 3 properties that you'd like to trade your money into, the replacement properties, and then you have to close on one or more of those properties within 180 days. Another disadvantage is that you cannot, what we say in the legal biz, constructively receive the money. This means that if you're using an escrow for your closing, which you undoubtedly are doing, you cannot have Chicago title accept the money in the name of Mr. Fremont property owner. You have to designate a neutral third-party exchange accommodator. We in this office have a couple that we use, but it's another disadvantage to the 1031 exchange. And the last disadvantage, if you will, is if you happen to trade a $3 million property into a $2 million property, you're going to recognize $1 million of gain that you're not putting into the new replacement property, and we call that boot. And you have to pay tax, capital gain rates usually on your boot. Likewise, if the property that you're selling has a fair amount of personal property involved and you can't denominate that as real property, you're going to be taxed on the personal property.